I'm Piotr. Welcome to Daily Elastic Bytes. In this episode, we are going to focus on observing the state of our Kubernetes cluster by employing elastic distribution of OpenTelemetry and Elastic Cloud. This episode is going to be slightly different than the previous ones because this time we're going to run the Elastic OpenTelemetry demo project not using Docker Compose, but instead we're going to deploy it on Kubernetes cluster. For this reason, we'll be following the Kubernetes section of Elastic's OpenTelemetry demo project. You can find it on GitHub or get here by navigating to this URL. As you can see in the prerequisite section, we need to have access to a Kubernetes cluster, kubectl and Helm installed. Just for the sake of this demo, I'm going to use Minikube, which is found here. Please keep in mind that this is demo only, not production use case. Don't deploy a production-grade cluster as a single node home computer with Minikube. To make things easier to see, I will also use the k8s tool, but it's not mandatory. As my observability backend, I am going to use Elastic Cloud Serverless again. After cloning the demo repository to my computer and installing the prerequisites, I started the cluster using Minikube start. As you can see, the cluster is up and empty. So let's go to Kibana and add some data from our cluster. Yes, let me select Kubernetes, OpenTelemetry, full observability. And as a first step, I have to add this OpenTelemetry repository to Helm or update it if I have it already added. As a next step, we have to create a new namespace, OpenTelemetry operator system, where we will add a secret, which will basically tell the operator where to send the data, what is the secret API key, and also to install an operator which will allow us later for example, instrumenting applications to get some OpenTelemetry data from these applications. So let me copy this. Let me go back to the terminal and paste it here. And let's run it. Okay, the operator has been deployed. So now it's time to go back to Kibana and see, we can open this dashboard or we can click this through the menu. Basically, there is a dashboard that gives us the status, the overall status of our Kubernetes cluster. And the data hasn't been sent yet. We are still waiting for all the observability pods to start. After we can check locally that all the monitoring containers and pods are started, we can check in Kibana and refresh just to be safe. And now, as you can see, we can clearly see that we receive the OpenTelemetry data about the status of our Kubernetes cluster. Okay, since we have monitoring of the cluster up and ready, we can now deploy some applications. So first, let's do that with the OpenTelemetry example. And as you can see, as the first step, we have to add this elastic secret, and it's slightly different than the previous one. First, when we use the APM endpoint, we need to make sure we don't add the HTTPS prefix. And when it comes to this secret, we have to tell it if it's a bearer or API key. So to get these, let me go back to this page. As you can see, this is the API key. So I should paste it in my terminal here. And when it comes to the APM endpoint, let's select it without HTTPS and copy and paste here. And now we should have this elastic secret created. And now we should go to the Elastic Helm directory, just as described here. Right after checking out, I should go to Elastic Helm, I should add the proper repository and so on, and then I should install this deployment to have the OpenTelemetry application deployed. So let me just go and do this. And as we can see, the process of deploying the application has started. So we can now go to the dashboard and monitor its progress. And let's just wait till it's done. In Kibana, we can already see that the deployment is taking place, that we have some deployments and pods and replica sets which aren't ready, and that the CPU and memory consumption is rising. As we can see now in cluster overview, monitoring our Kubernetes cluster is quite straightforward when using OpenTelemetry for that, and also gives us some insight into its history, like, for example, the increase of the memory consumption. We can, for example, check that the number of active pods or resource consumption has grown. So by monitoring that, we can not only react to critical situations after they have happened, but also do some actions in advance. For example, if we don't have auto-scaling enabled, we can scale the cluster up before the resources are exhausted, or scale it down when it's running idle to save some money. If you have taken a closer look at the add data instructions in Kibana, you can also see that there is step 3, which we didn't cover so far. However, this step is very useful if we'd like to rely on the auto instrumentation 0 config for languages which you see here, like Node.js, Java, Python, .NET, or Go. So let's follow these steps and auto instrument the legendary Java application, which you might remember from one of the previous episodes covering Java, the Pet Clinic. I have deployed the Pet Clinic application to my local cluster. As you can see, it is running here, and we can also check it in the k8s. And even when I go to Kibana, I can also see that I have some events about this pod happening. However, what I don't see is that I don't get anything from within this service or pod or container, or basically the application. So just like one in the previous episodes, we need to auto instrument this application, going back to this point or step 3 in this tutorial. Before we add this annotation to our Pet Clinic application, let's see what annotations do we currently have. So I've run kubectl describe pod, and this is the pod where the Spring application is running. And as you can see, there are no application annotations at all. So now it is time to edit our deployment. And instead of pasting, I am pre-prepared, so I will just remove comments here. And save the file, and now it's time to redeploy the application. And now we have to restart the pod. After restarting the pod, it is time to check the annotations again, and this time, of course, we have a different pod. This time, as you can see, the where are you? Yes, this time, as you can see, we have the annotation here, which is basically the OpenTelemetry operator system elastic instrumentation annotation, right? And we also see that our container had injected into its environment basically a bunch of settings which we previously had to configure manually. And not only that, when we investigate the state of the application in the logs, you can see that the OpenTelemetry Java agent has been selected or used as well, which should result in finally receiving some OpenTelemetry data from this application. Let's go to Kibana then, and let's check if we have any signals received from this auto-instrumented pet clinic. Let me go to traces and let's see what we have here. Yes, in the meantime, I have added a new visit, just like in Spans for Java episode. And as you can see, yes, we are receiving the traces now from the application, which is running inside our Kubernetes cluster and which got auto-configured without any code or touching or even recompiling the application again. So it's not only that, of course, but again, we can also monitor this way the whole health and history and resource consumption for our Kubernetes cluster. I hope you found this episode really useful, and now you're ready and set to monitor your Kubernetes cluster and the applications running inside it using OpenTelemetry. Do check out the other episodes of Daily Elastic Bytes and our community YouTube channel.